college in 1979. Then when I went to the penitentiary, I got introduced to the esoteric information. And so I got introduced to Hilton Hotimo, which was a pseudonym of his. His real name is George R. Clemens. The reason he changed his name different times is because he was trying to evade being murdered. You understand?
He's a European?
I think he's Indian, or he's a mixture of both. European and Indian. But the brother was dropping...
He lived to be 98.
Yeah, he lived to be 98. He was dropping... And I came in tune with the information from a debate that he did. The great debate was called, in the book, called Virgin Birth. That's where I first learned about parthenogenesis. But it took many years, like right now, like maybe several months ago, when I really began to understand what I had read years ago. You know, and I didn't really know that Dr. York was dropping that science until recently, because somebody accused me of quoting Dr. York's information. And I tell you, I do got some of his information, like where I learned about the feminine. I learned that from Dr. York. You understand what I'm saying, you? And I also learned from Dr. York that the X chromosome was, the Y chromosome was a degenerate. You see what I'm saying?
Now you're getting a lot of slack because of that. You came out and said that the man is a degenerate from the female.
Right.
You're getting a lot of slack behind that, Tahuti.
Yeah. And see, it's very true. But it's true. And what's happening, he just explained it. The very early stages of conception, all embryos or fetuses are female.
Right.
What happens is, once that Y factor takes over, or whenever the degeneracy takes place, those testicles, and I'm going to show when we come to the lecture, I have an outlook, I have the whole anatomy, how the ovaries are herniated, and they fall down into what is called the labia, the lips of the woman. Now, in the Latin language, it's called prostatica ventricle. The prostatica ventricle is the actual womb inside of a man, or you can call it prostatica vagina, or excuse me, vagina masculinus.
You know what, brother? I'm gonna have to say this on tape, man. I'm actually proud of you, Tahuti, man, because I see the difference in you from a few months ago. I could tell you've been studying, brother. You see what I'm saying?
Yes,
you hit me with all kind of shit. Like, I'm like, damn.
And now, what's
I'm
really
proud of
strange,
you, brother, for doing what you're doing.
Thank you, brother. What's really strange, and what brothers don't realize, see, the woman, going back to Dr. York, dealing with that number 9, and I understand it from Supreme Mathematics, 9, we always was taught that was complete. And so the woman is complete. She's a complete being. You see what I'm saying? It is a total lie that they have the same chromosomes. The woman has to have more chromosomes. She makes up the child. She's the creator. So how could a man and a woman have the same amount of chromosomes?
Well, we're going to get scientific in a minute. Now here's the question I want to have for you, and then I know Alim is going to go deeper into it, because before, me and this brother did a DVD about 5 or 6 years ago called The Anatomy of Man. Remember that? Right. The Anatomy of Man. Big Man said, what's up, too? I got to tell you that.
Right, no doubt.
The Anatomy of Man. So, brother, for the viewers out there, let me say this on my brother Natural Tahuti's behalf. He is not trying to teach a homosexual agenda when the brother talks about there was a time when man can lactate milk. That's not what he's trying to tell y'all, to go out there and breastfeed the baby. Y'all getting it confused. That's not what Tahuti is telling you. He is telling you, brothers and sisters, that in need situations, under circumstances, if it had to come to a time where you had to feed your baby and the woman was no longer around, the man could take on that type of, you know, we're going to let you, what's that again?
That type of nurturing.
Nurturing.
Right.
All right, Brother Tahuti, go deep into it, man.
Well,
because people accuse you of a homosexual agenda when you talk about that.
What it is really is what we have to understand, this is reactionary from people who have been knocked upside the head and put to sleep for over the past 500 years. We are.
What is the purpose of you teaching this teaching right here?
Well, basically, I came out talking about male lactating milk for shock therapy. Basically, that was for the shock therapy. I knew they was going to jump on me.
Right.
But what I had to do was challenge the ego so that the ego could show its ugly face. So when we bring that science and show them that the black woman is God, it'll knock them back down and humble itself. Because the man is bent on so much of this ego testosterone. That's why we got all this war on the planet. You see what I'm saying? And that's why in this changing of the paradigm shift, ISIS is back on her throne. As a matter of fact, in the book Fetish to Gods, and I'm not exactly sure what page, but I will get the citation for you. Set says when she returns, because they put her in prison for a period of 20,000 or so many thousand years, and she said when she returns, she is going to destroy all of those that lied in her namesake. Because the gods that went to war with the mother took on all her attributes. And then you had these degenerates, these Europeans, who actually went around the planet murdering women. Vilifying the woman, calling her a witch. Which is just a trickery of word, because witch is just the mother's wit.
So are you trying, and let it be known here, are you trying to teach the young thugs out there that they should go home and breastfeed?
No, I'm not actually teaching that they should go home and breastfeed.
Right.
I'm just trying to show you that the physical anatomy of the man comes from the woman. This is evidence that she is the primary. You understand what I'm saying? The evidence that the woman is the primary is because they actually got men on the planet right now that lactate milk out of their chest and that are actually breastfeeding.
Show and prove.
Well, all men have mammary glands. And there is a so-called degeneracy called there is an actual degeneracy where there are men, babies. Matter of fact, some newborn babies have milk running out of their chest, the boys. And during the age of puberty, it is mostly developed where you can actually see boys lactating milk out of their chest. Now,
you said that they're doing this right now in another part of the world.
Well, one of the most famous cases is the brother from out of Sri Lanka.
Tell them where they can go and dig up the research.
Well, you can dig that research up on if you go online, you can put in the words milkmen. If you Google milkmen, you'll actually go online and you can see the brother whose wife died. And he didn't know what to do with his child. The child rejected the powdered milk. And he actually started putting the baby up to his chest. And from the suction of the baby, the man began to lactate. Now, there's also...
Milkmen or milkman?
Milkmen. Now, there's also a tribe of original people who are misnomerly called pygmies, from a particular group of so-called pygmies called the Aka. The Aka have been dubbed by National Geographic and others as the world's greatest dads. They have their children 43 to 53% of the time more with the man than he is with the woman. And when the women go out to do the hunting, the men are at home and they take care of the child, and if the child cries, they will put the children up to their breasts. What we have to understand about the Twa had the most just society because it was based upon the mother principle, which is actually the equality of male and feminine principles. You see, so and that's what I was talking about before when I talked about we must return to the African mother principle, and how we do that is by observing civilizations or tribes such as the Twa, where the duties of everyone is equally distributed and everyone in the society had an equal voice. No one was higher than the other. And this is how our ancestors, matter of fact, the Kushites, they mocked the Twa. The Kemites, they mocked the Twa. And it goes all the way down to the Moors and so forth and so on. And it is true. It's a fact. The Moors were the custodians of the knowledge that when the Kemites were being persecuted and prosecuted, it was the Moors that took the knowledge and spread it across the world. That's how they built Spain. And so, man, this knowledge, the thing is that the knowledge has, the Europeans went on a crusade across the whole entire planet trying to destroy this information. And the information is now rising up. It's coming back. We're in a new paradigm now. We're in that 2012 cycle right now. And in that 2012 cycle, man, what you're going to see a lot more homosexuality. You're going to see a lot of that, because not only is the European trying to get peoples to be homosexuals, but what's really happening in the metaphysical plane is that the memory, brothers, see what's happening is that the memory is lost. The memory is kind of lost. And what you have is the confusion from those that are vibrating on a lower density. They are confusing themselves with the Great Mother. They are confusing themselves with that principle from which they came from. And that's why you see some of the degeneracy as homosexuality. It's not that it's and I don't want nobody to beat me up on this. You understand what I'm saying? But I'm just have to be brave enough to give you the truth.
And that's the truth.
You know? It is.
It is.
All right. That's powerful, brother. That's powerful. Okay, brother Alim, would you like to elaborate on that right there as far as the black man or man having the ability to lactate milk?
Well, number one, let's understand what the word man means. Word man simply means think. That's all it means. Man it has nothing to do with gender. It has to do with the mind. You know what I'm saying? So actually, when we say man, we're talking about a thinker. We're talking about he who thinks. So we're not talking about per se a gender. You know what I'm saying? But an individual that can actually think and put things into motion to make things manifest. So we know that everything begins with the mind. The all is mind and everything is mental. You know, so your mind is said to have abilities and control over the matter. Matter of fact, that's what we teach in metaphysics, that mind over matter. So your physical body is composed of matter. It's a mass of energy. So if the mind has the ability in order to transform mass into energy, energy back into mass, as they say, E equal mc squared, which is supposed to be the relativity theory of Einstein. You know what I'm saying? Of course, we already knew that in ancient Africa. But the thing is this, is that man has the ability in order to manifest what is necessary and is to adapt to overcome at any time, at any given time. I mean, how we think that we've been on this planet for millions and billions of years? Because we've been able to adapt, you know, and when times, situations, based on disasters, based on stressful situations, based on environmental changes, we can actually adapt and actually begin to do what needs to be done. You know what I'm saying? That's man or woman. You know what I'm saying? But in particular, yes, man has the ability in order to lactate when it's necessary. And now it's called a dis-ease. However, that dis-ease would be necessary if the woman, you know what I'm saying, was not in the picture. Or if because of war, the man will have to step up to the plate and provide for that child. You know what I'm saying? So it will become necessary for the man to be able to do that. You know, especially there's no grocery stores and those types of things. I mean, yeah, you have to adapt. And that's man always been able to do that. We always been able to adapt.
Okay, Brother Ali, let's get deeper into some science. How was we created? How was we formed? Go into the details. Like, you always hear the people say that we are part of the earth. Everything that's in the earth is a part of us.
True.
Go into that. How was we formed? How was we created?
Well, the fall of man just don't deal with just the testicles. It also deal with the fact on how we fell into flesh.
No, I said, how was we created?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
He's going there.
How we fell into the flesh. We fell from an Etherian state.
Yes, sir.
All right, which is a mental state. The mind makes everything into what appears to be a reality. So that means that all is mind and the universe is mental. So a portion of the universe itself symbolizes the mind. As the mind begins to become more condensed, I mean, in other words, like this: thought travels at 24 billion miles per second.